Yellowjackets Season 3 has officially come to a close, and we are left with the question of, will we get a Season 4? Even though there have been an increase in the overall viewership of the show, it looks like we still don't have any clarification as to whether or not the show will be renewed. Although, considering the fact that, again, it did increase in viewership, and between Seasons 2 and 3 we had quite a long wait of, I believe, 2 years, it seems likely that we will not be hearing about an official renewal until possibly the end of this year. But with the increase in viewership, it seems pretty likely that they're going to continue, especially because they are in a specific age demographic that I do think is really needed by Paramount. Things like Tulsa King or those other shows with Kevin Costner and whatnot definitely appeal to a little bit of an older audience, and I'm guessing it skews a little bit more towards the male demographic, and having a show like Yellowjackets, which tends to draw in a bit of a younger audience, as well as a little bit more female-heavy audience, will definitely be good for Paramount's overall profitability to continue the show and also try to find shows in this vein. Maybe not horror cannibalism, but definitely something that appeals to this specific demographic. But beyond that, I wanted to also talk a little bit about my thoughts on Yellowjackets thus far. But let me say thank you guys for all the support on the channel recently. It's been awesome to see the channel continue to grow. Please like and subscribe for more content like this going forward. And besides that, hopefully I do more Yellowjackets content as we get more news or as I find some theories that I find interesting. But I do think that this season definitely did not quite live up to everybody's expectations, at least from what I could gather from, say, the Reddit and people that I've spoken to. And I think I have a little bit of an idea why, although I think the why is a little bit more controversial. My idea is that generally the show really thrives off its supernatural basis, or at least kind of the question of whether or not things are supernatural. However, I think when you have stories and you continuously write in elements that kind of call for further explanation or for some understanding of how they work, or at least like something as interesting as the guy in the attic and what his whole thing with the cabin there was, to leave that completely unanswered and also to play with the audience, kind of making the audience wonder whether or not these will ever come back, is definitely quite frustrating. You see, oftentimes when you build up attention with mysteries, the idea is you want to receive some payoff over time. And I'm not saying that they need to verify 100% that there is something supernatural going on, but when you do have certain elements in the show, like for example, Laura Lee's teddy bear catching on fire and burning first in that plane, things like that make it very obvious that there is something supernatural happening. On top of that, you have the entire weird thing, trying to add a perspective of somebody watching over them by swinging the camera through the trees and making that wispy noise. They kind of did this in Evil Dead, for example. And that weird effect basically is seen to be the thing that drops snow on Jackie's body, leading to their overall cannibalism. Moments and usages of the visuals in that way make it so that it's obvious that there has to be something larger here, and to play with the audience and pretend that we're kind of dumb or that we don't know how obvious this is feels very strange. Spoilers for Season 3, but I do think that in Season 3 we also had another moment just like this, where basically Lottie goes Jesus mode while walking over the pit that Travis has literally set up to kill her. We see that when he sets it up initially, adding just a little bit of pressure seems to make it fall through, but she fully walks over it and is perfectly fine. I would be willing to forgive some of the things, like some of the elements having to do with their visions, again, all being kind of induced by either some gas or just a bit of a shared psychosis. However, when we look at things like the Queen of Hearts appearing from nowhere, the symbols that are drawn everywhere, and Javi's supposed friend that we never see or hear about ever again, at least thus far, to not bring those back in or give any type of closure to the audience is really frustrating, because it's acting as if they forgot what happened in the previous seasons. I remember that, yeah, there are the big elements that aren't supernatural, such as Javi's death, that they deem as supernatural, even though it is literally just him trying to get away and then falling into some frozen water. But generally, when we are talking about these other elements, like things appearing out of nowhere, or the snow perfectly falling on Jackie's body so that she would become become edible. These things, or again, particularly, I think the most obvious ones are the Jesus mode and the Laura Lee thing, where she tries to fly the plane out of where they're at, but then her teddy bear is the first thing to explode on that plane, not, the engine or a wing. All of those add together in a way that you cannot explain it without a supernatural element. If they just continue acting like it never happened and that they never set this up, it's just gonna feel like massive plot holes. Is that they set up a lot that they really don't seem like they know how to close on. And don't even get me started on big plot lines that just end up dead in the water. For example, Adam in the season 1, or also from season 1, Travis's death. Like, Travis having done that to himself is absurd. But generally, it's sad to see because even a great setup can be kind of damaged and leave a bad taste in your mouth if it doesn't have a good conclusion. And right now, I'm starting to get the feeling that they don't really know where to properly go from here. They bit off a little bit more than they could chew. And I hope they start actually giving us some answers, giving us some conclusions, so we can actually feel good about watching a story that's truly unfolding, rather than just a seeming collection of events that aren't really connected all that well. But what do you guys think? Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? I've seen some people saying they should never go into any of this stuff, never close out or give any payoff to any of it, which to me is insane. Why write it then? Okay, why write it? But I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm still gonna watch it. Like, I still enjoy the show, and I think that there's enough there to keep me interested, but definitely it's annoying when it feels like they're never going to give us any answers because they don't want to commit to anything. All right, guys, I will see you all in the next one.
Obsessive on my brain and it drains all the dopamine.